everybody.
Hello there.
Keith plugged on. Here with an album review. We're going to talk about the new album from Halestorm, titled Vicious. It's their fourth album, the follow-up to Into the Wildlife from 2015. Yeah. And Halestorm is a hard rock band, and you probably heard their songs because they're very popular.
They're big. They're from Red Line, which is only like maybe half an hour away from here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also pretty cool, local flair. But
yeah. I mean, Halestorm, I really enjoyed them when they broke out. Their first two albums,
the first two albums are two of my favorite modern rock albums.
Yeah, because they had this like attitude to them, and then Lizzie Hale was just, she's a great singer.
She is,
and I mean she still is, but especially on those two albums, some of those hits are undeniably awesome. You know, I mean they won a fucking Grammy.
Yeah,
for best metal song, but whatever. So yeah. I personally did not enjoy their last album really that much at all.
I didn't that much either. There's really only maybe 2 or 3 good songs on the whole album.
Yeah, it kind of was a little flat. So looking forward to this one, I wasn't super pumped, but I think they put out the 2 singles they put out ahead of time. I'm like, okay. So they put out Uncomfortable and Black Vultures ahead of time, which I think are good jams, but we'll get into that. What'd you think? You're a bigger Halestorm fan than I am.
Yeah, I was.
So what do you?
Again, I got into them when The Strange Case of came out, which is their second album. I think this album is better than their last one, and I think part of that reason is, and this is going to kind of sum up a lot of the review, like TLDR sort of thing. It's that I've kind of come to terms with maybe the idea that they're not that band anymore from their first 2 albums.
Yeah,
and so once you kind of accept that, you can kind of enjoy this, because like it's just on a base level, the songwriting's just a lot different, whereas they were a lot more, very much on the harder side of hard rock, on their first 2 albums, with songs like Love Bites and just doing also just different things, like the song Love Hate Heartbreak's a really weird song from their first album, but it's great, and Familiar Taste of Poison's great, and like all these, like, again, these songs that just hit. And now there's a little bit more of just almost old school in a lot of ways in some spots, like just a more laid back style of writing, which isn't necessarily bad, but then that was kind of what happened with their last album. Was I was like, I'm waiting for this, and it wasn't The Strange Case of Part 2. So, and Black Vultures and Uncomfortable are great songs from this album, and I mean, really, there's only really one other song to me that is like a standout song from this album. That is the last track, and that is The Silence.
I was
The Silence.
Bring that up too.
Oh, that song is awesome.
Fantastic.
Yes. Halestorm does ballads really well, especially in that kind of sense. It's great, but the rest of the album, the songs are good and they have good moments, but none of them kind of kick it to the level that I would expect. And it's like, some of them are a little weird. Do Not Disturb is a song that kind of comes up. That song's really weird. I get the thing going on with that song, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if it works. Skulls is another one that's like that. Like the last 4 songs are kind of like that too. From like Heart of Novocaine to like Vicious is like sort of like they're okay songs, but it's not like I expected a little bit more. I mean, I think, and it's the only thing, because, like, still comparing it to their old stuff, like, I think Lizzie Hale sounds just as good as ever. Is she hitting, like, a lower vocal range nowadays than she would on, like, the first 2 albums? But I think that, I mean, the riffs kind of are a little more lackluster than, again, previously. But, Uncomfortable is, like, really the only standout riff. Skulls, the opening riff to Skulls is pretty okay, but then you don't really hear it by itself, because it's part of the chorus. And then none of the solos really stuck out at all. Like, I don't even think there's that many on the album. Like, but they're just kind of in the background. It's a fine album. It's just that, again, my expectations were already tempered. So I like this album more than the last album. I think it's an okay album. It's a fine album. It's just, yeah. I mean, I get the direction they're going, but I hopefully they can nail it a little bit more. Maybe they fit in a little bit more now, because there's a lot of bands that are doing this kind of thing. I think of the Struts, or they're doing like an old school-esque sound. Greta Van Fleet's doing like an old school-esque sound. So maybe like that's the kind of thing they're trying to capture. But again, it's like I understand that they're not that band anymore, but man, I still just wish that they would have like there was like an "I Miss the Misery" on this album, or an "I Get Off," which there really isn't. So
and see, to me, the thing that made Halestorm popular was, their edge that they had, that they were just like harder than most bands. But then they had Lizzie Hale on vocals, which made them kind of very accessible, Yeah. And now they have toned that down a little bit to more of just a straightforward rock sound, but like you said, it's fine. And like, I think Black Vultures is a great song. Black Vultures and Uncomfortable are two songs that I could totally see them doing off their first two albums or something.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable is something that'll get stuck in your head all fucking day. And Black Vultures felt a little bit more like an old school Halestorm song to me. I think, like you said, the last track, "The Silence," is amazing, and that song to me showcases how great of a vocalist Lizzie Hale can be.
Yeah, she
is stunning on that song. I was listening to this, I'm like, holy shit, I did not expect this, and I think it's a great way to end the album. Just it might be a softer song, a ballad, but it leaves a really good impression with you when it's over, just because of how good it is. I also think the other one, "Heart of Novocaine," is really good.
"Heart of Novocaine" is pretty good.
It's not as good as "The Silence," but that's one that I thoroughly enjoyed. But then you kind of have like this very weird middle section of the album. Like, personally, I can't stand "Do Not Disturb." I think it's weird, and to me, here's my problem with it. And this might just be me, legitimately. That song lyrically is trying to be very sexy, these sexy, I want to fuck you and take your pants off.
Yeah.
Let's do the sex thing. But the music isn't very let's do the sex sort of thing. Like, I listen to AC/DC and all those songs are about fucking. And the music makes me want to fuck.
Yeah.
Not this. Not a lot of these songs that are like that. Like, Conflicted, I'm like, this one's kind of weird too. And I mean, it has like a interesting chorus. Lizzie Hale's doing some different things vocally, which she's a very talented vocalist. I get that. I just personally, I'm like, nah, I'm okay. Skulls is an interesting one where she does some different things vocally, but I think it sort of works for that song in a way. And then the chorus, I think, is neat. I really love the simplistic chord progression, but it's a nice chord progression in that one. But I think some of these songs, like they're fine songs on their own, but I think compared to a lot of the other songs that Halestorm has done, like, I wouldn't really want to listen to them all by themselves. Like Painkiller, White Dress, the title track, I'm like, okay, they're fine. I'm sure somebody out there is really going to dig them, but if I'm going to listen to, some fucking rock jams by Halestorm, there's just so much more I'd rather listen to. But I personally think I'd probably say "The Silence" is probably the best song on the album. I think that's one of the best songs that Halestorm has ever written.
Yeah, it's really good. It's up there. I mean, I'd put it up there with the other two ballads that I think are like up there with their best, which is "The Familiar Taste" and "Here's to Us," which are both great songs. Yeah. I kind of, even though like vocally it's different, you get like a Landslide type vibe from that song, or like a Stevie Nicks, and like, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatnot, Fleetwood Mac kind of vibe. I'm like, yeah, all right, I can dig this. So,
yeah. Lizzie Hale's, I mean, she still is just an incredible vocalist. I mean, we've said that a number of times here, but I think she has a tremendous like singing voice, and then when she does want to get like very hard rock like, she's very good at doing that too. She kind of, I think if you took out Lizzie Hale and this just would not be.
I would even say
she does take it to another level.
Even on the first two albums, like, it just wouldn't be too much to write home about.
Yeah, that's about it. What did you think? Score? Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like, now that I've just accepted this is what this band is now, hopefully, they can match what I think they hope their sound will be on their next album. But I give it like a 6.57 or so out of 10, I'd say.
7 out of 10 for me too. It's fine. I do like it more than their last album, but not as much as their first two.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think of Halestorm's new album. Thanks for watching.